The American public does not support prohibition. Now, we do see a terrific 35% gap in the polling between decrim, around 70 to 75% of the American public support that, but only about 36 to 40% of the American public support legalizing marijuana. So you clearly can see from that data set, we have a lot more work to do. But everything, the metrics, letters to the editor, columns, editorial boards, all of it trends upwards and in our favor. Reform movements, next to an Obama rally, are the biggest public forums, the biggest public protests in the United States. If you don't believe me, go up to Seattle next year and check out the 300,000 people there, and go to the 50,000 person rally in Boston, and the tens of thousand person rallies all around the United States. Those just happen to be the two big premier ones. You know, even though we're not seeing, as I had anticipated in this presidential election, we're not seeing the culture war over the baby boomers and the World War II generation, even though that is in fact what's being pitted. The baby boomers, whether society likes it or not, for good or bad, I happen to think for good, their mores and values, they're going to take over, as they should, in their maturation. They will be taking over the institutions of our government and society for their tenure. 10, 20 years leading them. And then behind them, my generation. And behind them, the blessed 150 young people who are under 25 who will be attending here. So all of this is trending in an upwards direction, and that is clear. NORML is assiduously nonpartisan, as it has to be. But I can certainly say from an analytical point of view, it is clear if Barack Obama is elected president, we have a much better chance towards reform. If the 40 to 60 seats that are picked up by the Democrats as they anticipate, there is going to be a much better environment for reform, much better than any of us have seen in 35 to 40 years, since Keith was holding some parties in Washington. I think this time we're not going to hold any parties in Washington. You know, but again, at the same time, while we're trending upwards in all those areas, we are seeing a deeper entrenched prohibition. We already talked about the arrest rates, more incarcerations, drug testing, and just billions and billions of dollars wasted by law enforcement. And of course we have drug czar Walters, just a vicious and almost amoral individual on the topic of drug policy reform. His propaganda that he approves is just unbelievable. By a show of hands, how many people have seen Stoners in the Mist? Okay, for everybody else who hasn't seen that, just type Stoners in the Mist in. What you're going to see is an amazing review by Russ Belville, NORML's audio podcast producer and host. And you will be angry. You will be insulted beyond your belief. You will not believe that you are being compared to animals in the field to be observed, dehumanized. And NORML has done a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, to find out how much this has cost. They haven't been very clear on it, but right now I would pay the cost of that video at $27,000. That's what they paid to produce the video. So please take the opportunity to watch it. You will be profoundly insulted. And then, of course, I shouldn't say of course, I follow politics very closely. And in the last couple of days, another report has come out about Walters and his ridiculous partisanship. This man has been one of the most political hacks in the executive branch. He went around for 30 times to the Republican Party to raise money and to raise the profile of their candidates. He's always been a Republican political hack, going back to the days as Ethan named years ago, Bill Bennett's mini-me. Just unbelievable. And some of you are familiar with his most recent rant. Some good folks at the MPP were over to the drug czar's office and were able to ask them a question and ask them about the arrest rate that had just come out and how high it was. And he came out and said that a person who smokes marijuana in jail is as likely as a unicorn. And of course, many of us have criticized that incredibly. It's just a classic example of how detached he is from reality on this and how insulting it is. There's about 65 to 85,000 of our brothers and sisters in cages for nothing more than possessing, selling, growing, or conspiracy therein regarding cannabis. Obama, How about a medical doctor for a drug czar? Obama? How about, maybe not a medical doctor, but how about Dr. Ethan Nadelman?
Yeah!
Is that the kind of drug czar we can envision? I'm 43 years old, and this epoch of cannabis prohibition is very decidedly different than the one I grew up in. Again, all these decrim states, 100 million people live in a decrim state, or a state or a city where it's been decriminalized. 60 million of us live in a medical state. There's a clear and positive and affirming cannabis culture in the United States, and all of North America for that matter. So where does this all lead? What is the next potential chink in the armor of cannabis prohibition? The first federal cannabis decriminalization bill in over 25 years was introduced around 4/20 this last year. And while there are many important and worthwhile law reform projects underway, and many more that are being hashed and implemented, the passage of H.R. 5843, I believe, is our maypole to rally around for the next couple of years. Again, with an Obama presidency and a larger working majority in Congress, along with needed pressure put upon our policymakers by everybody in this room, continuously, our best days are ahead of us. That is absolutely clear. Absolutely, positively clear. But then again, we can always fall back on Keith's old super secret strategy of just simply outliving the bastards. Again, this will be a great conference. Thanks for your patience and forbearance. And NORML is an organization that is created for and supported by exclusively the cannabis use community. So thank you very much, and I look forward to talking to everybody over the next 3 days.
That was the opening remarks of NORML's Executive Director Alan St. Pierre at the NORML conference in Berkeley. Just October 17th was when that took place. And you can catch more of those videos on the National NORML YouTube site, which is at youtube.com/NATL NORML, NORML.